Now you'll notice when I laid out my colors, I put all my colors on the edge of my palette. And that's so that we can use the other part of the palette to mix the colors. This is backstage. This is the stage. These are the actors. They're waiting for their turn to come out here. And now we want to clear the stage for Act 2. I've got too much stuff happening here. I can't see what I'm doing. So I can clean my palette. Now I want to mix those urchins. Now these are neutral colors. These are colors that are not specifically red, yellow, blue, or green. I have to sort of look at this very hard to determine what color that is. And I'm looking at this larger urchin, and that larger one, if I look at it long enough, I can begin to see a color. I can begin to see a yellow-orange in there. So I'm going to start with a yellow-orange. Now this is going to be much too bright. We'll have to really tone this back down in order to get that color right. So here I'm doing it with the knife, because this is going to take some mixing to get this color. Okay, I think that's about where we want to be. Now, if that's the color, then I want the value. So now I want a big batch of white. Now when you're mixing a dark color with a light color, you always want to mix the dark color into the light color. So over here, I'm mixing this into this. The orange is being mixed into the white. All right, so now we've got pretty close to the value. And now I want to adjust the neutrality or the intensity of the color. This is still an intense color by comparison to what I'm seeing up there. And so I want to add the color that's the complement of this yellow-orange. The complement of yellow-orange is blue-violet. So not having a blue-violet, I have to mix it up. And I'm going to take it, looks like mostly violet, but I'll find out. Okay, so there's a little violet, and here's a little blue, and we're going to mix up with something here. That looks sort of blue-violetish. Now I'm going to take a very small amount, and I'm talking small here. When you're neutralizing colors, it's very important not to go whole hog, because it'll get out of your control, and then we've got to go back and start again. All right, now this time, since I've mixed this up with my knife, I'm going to mix all of my values with my knife. There's no reason you can't do it with a knife all the time, or no reason you can't do it with a brush all the time. And I vary it back and forth. So I'm going to take a little piece of this color, and I'm going to add some of the same color I used to neutralize it for my shadow color. This time I'll use a little bit more. Okay, there's my shadow color. Maybe a little darker. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for my highlight color. Now highlights are usually just the addition of white. So I'm going to take a little piece of my basic color and add that to the white. And now I have my three values. These three values are what we all need in order to make something look three-dimensional. A light, a middle, and a dark. So here's my light, there's my middle, and there's my dark. And we're going to put that on and make an urchin. Now this has still got a bit of a crescent. You see the crescent of the highlight. And we'll also have a crescent of the shadow color. Now I have to do a little trick here and get into the wet paint. It's a little dangerous, huh? And that's the danger right there. What we'll do here is try to put a little bit more paint on that. That may have to be corrected down the road somewhere. Okay, now, the shadow color. See that crescent? Now, here we have an object that has rather a lot of texture. And for this object, instead of making a blend like we've done elsewhere, I want to make what I call a rough blend. And this will begin to hint at the texture of the object. inside up in here. I'm going to hint a little bit more at that texture. Now, I believe in building texture from the beginning, even though it's hard to get it to look the way it will look in the end. But it at least gets you in the right mood for texture. I do have to start with another color. And this is a very small amount of paint. It's a very small object, and so I might not mix it. I won't mix it with the palette knife. I'll use my brush to do this. I'm going to start with once again, I'll start with my violet. That particular urchin is more of a red violet when we look at it long enough to see the color. These colors reveal themselves after a long time of looking. Sometimes it's very hard to see these colors in the beginning. So now that's the violet I think it is. Now I'm going to add the complement of that, red violet, is a yellow-green. So a little yellow, a little green. Oops, I should have done that the other way around. I should have gone to the value first, but I didn't. So I'll use that as my shadow. And the shadow color. And add a little bit more violet. Go back to my original color, the red violet. And add some of my yellow-green to that. That's what I wanted. Now here again, I'm going to hint at this texture. I'm going to add some of my light to this color, my base color, for the highlight.